So let's look into some November issues. What are the November issues in polity and governance? Economically weaker section quota, uniform civil code, and right to vote for under trials. Initiatives launched under the e-courts project, police commissionerate system, Aadhaar rules updated, and rule of law index 2022. And coming to international relations, ASEAN, geopolitics of food security, Indian diaspora in United Kingdom, South African Development Community, India UN Development Partnership Fund. India UN Development Partnership Fund and friend shoring, China Indian Ocean Region Forum, and Indian Pacific Regional Dialogue, and so on. Like this, we'll see the news items that are important in the month of November, like things. When coming to this, economically weaker section or EWS quota, the Supreme Court Constitutional Bench upheld the validity of 103rd Constitutional Amendment introduced 100% quota. See, it has upheld, Supreme Court Constitutional Bench has upheld the validity of 103rd Constitutional Amendment, which introduced 10% quota for EWS in education and public employment. About the EWS reservation. See, EWS reservation was granted based on the recommendations of Sinhu Commission, submitted its report in 2010. Sinhu Commission, based on its recommendations, 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2019 inserted Articles 15 Clause 6 and 16 Clause 6 into the Indian Constitution, provided the reservation to the EWS among the non-OBC and the non-SC/ST sections of the population. Non-OBC and non-SC/ST sections of the population. It is important to know this because all will think it is EWS also belongs to OBC. No, it is non-OBC and non-SC/ST sections of the population. The Act enables both the central and state governments to provide the reservations to the EWS. However, it allows the state government to decide whether or not to provide the reservations to the EWS for appointment in the state government jobs and admission to the state government educational institutions. Act amended Article 15 to additionally permit the government to provide advancement of EWS. Article 15 also amended for the advancement of EWS. Further, up to 10% of seats may be reserved for such sections for admission in educational institutions. Such reservations will not apply to the minority. See, the Act amended Article 15 to additionally permit the government to provide for advancement of EWS. Further, up to 10% of seats may be reserved for such sections for admission in educational institutions. Such reservation will not apply to the minority educational institutions. The Act also amended Article 16 to permit government to reserve up to 10% to all the posts for economically weaker sections of the citizens in the government jobs. The EWS reservations is in addition to existing reservation. A person not covered under the reservation for SCs, ST and OBCs and whose family has gross annual income below the 8 lakh that is, a person not covered under the reservation of SC, STs and OBCs and whose family income had a gross annual income below the 8 lakhs was to be identified as EWS as to below the 8 lakhs income and not covered under the SC, STs and OBC reservation, and family had a gross annual income below the 8 lakh was to be identified as EWS for reservation. Also excluded were those who had 5 acres of agricultural land or a residential flat of 1,000 square feet. Also excluded those who had 5 acres of agricultural land, or a residential flat of 1,000 square feet, or agricultural land of 5 acres and a residential plot of 100 square yards and above in the notified municipalities, or 200 square yards in other areas. So, what are the conditions? EWS reservations is in addition to the existing reservation. A person not covered under the reservation of SCs, STs and OBCs and whose family had a gross annual income below the 8 lakh was to be identified. That is the gross annual income. EWS reservation is in addition to the existing reservation. A person not covered under the reservation for SCs, STs and OBCs and whose family had a gross annual income below the 8 lakh was to be identified as EWS for reservation. Also excluded were those who had 5 acres of agricultural land. Also excluded were those who had 5 acres of agricultural land or a residential flat of 1,000 square feet or a residential plot of 100 square yards and above in notified municipalities or 200 square yards in other areas. Key points of Supreme Court. If you look at the key points of the Supreme Court verdict, that is Janhit Abhiyan versus Union of India versus Janhit Abhiyan versus Union of India case of 2022. Reservation on economic criteria alone did not violate the basic structure of the Constitution. Reservation on economic criteria alone did not violate the basic structure of the Constitution. Supreme Court's earlier jurisprudence is economic criteria cannot be the sole basis for a determination of backwardness, is somewhat restricted to preservation provided in the SCBCs, and EWS is deemed to be a separate and distinct category. See, the reservation on the economic criteria alone did not violate the basic structure of the constitutions. If you look at the Supreme Court's earlier jurisprudence, what he told earlier in Supreme Court's earlier jurisprudence, economic criteria cannot be the sole basis for determination of the backwardness, is somewhat restricted to the reservation provided to only SCBCs. But as EWS is deemed a separate and distinct category, exclusion of SC because EWS is deemed to be separate and distinct category. If you look at the exclusion of SCs or STs or SCBCs was a part of a reasonable classification and necessary to be avoid double benefits. Also reservations as a concept cannot be ruled out in private institutions where education is imparted. 50% rule formed in Indira Sahni judgment 1992 has not been held to be inflexible and inviolate for all times to come. Further, it had applied only to SC, ST, SCBCs or OBC communities and not the general category. So, exclusion of SC/STs was a part of a reasonable classification and necessary to avoid the double benefits. Also, reservation as a concept cannot be ruled out in the private institutions where education is imparted. 50% rule formed in the Indira Sahni judgment in 1992 has not been held to be inflexible and inviolate for all the times to come. Has not been held to be inflexible and inviolate for all the times to come. Further, it had implied. See what it has. The wording is important because it has mentioned that this Indira Sahni judgment 50% rule has not been held to be inflexible and inviolable for all the times to come. Further, it had applied only to SC, STs and OBCs communities and not the general category. If you look at the Article 15 Clause 6, which has been amended, articles amended by the 103rd Constitutional Amendment Act 2019, 15 Clause 6, it enables the government to make special provisions for the advancement of any economically weaker sections other than those mentioned in Article 15 Clause 4 and Clause 5. This relates to their admission into the educational institutions. It enables the government to make the special provisions for those advancement of any weaker sections other than those mentioned in the Article 15 Clause 4 and Article 15 Clause 5. This relates to their admission into the educational institutions. 15 Clause 4 and 15 Clause 5 relate to the socially and educationally backward classes or SCs or STs. Article 16 Clause 6, it enables the government to make special provisions for the advancement of any economically weaker sections other than those mentioned in the 16 Clause 4. This relates to the promotions and the appointments or the post. Article 16 Clause 4 relates to the reservation for those Article 16 Clause 4 relates to the reservation for those backward classes which in the opinion of the states are not adequately represented in the services. That is, see, both these 15 Clause 6 and 16 Clause 6 are in addition to the 15 Clause 4 and 15 Clause 5 and 16 Clause 4 respectively, because this Article 15 Clause 6 enables the government to make special provisions for the advancement of any economically weaker sections other than those already mentioned in the Article 15 Clause 4 and Article 15 Clause 5. This relates to their admission into the educational institutions. Article 15 Clause 4 and 15 Clause 5 relate to the socially and educationally backward classes or SCs or STs. And coming to the 16 Clause 6, it enables the government to make special provisions for the advancement of any economically weak special provisions for the advancement of economically weaker sections other than those mentioned in the Article 16 Clause 4. This relates to the promotions in the appointment or post. Article 16 Clause 4 relates to the reservation for those backward classes which are in opinion of the state are not adequately represented. And coming to the Indira Sahni judgment 1992, backward class of citizens can be identified on the basis of caste system, but cannot be identified only and exclusively with reference to economic criteria. Reservation cannot be beyond the 50% rule. Creamy layer must be excluded. This creamy layer excluded from the backward classes of citizens. That is Indira Sahni judgment 1992. See, backward class of citizens can be identified on the basis of the caste system, but cannot be identified only on the exclusive. Cannot be identified only and exclusive with reference to the economic criteria. Reservation cannot be given beyond the 50% rule. Creamy layer must be excluded from the backward classes of citizens. Creamy layer must be excluded from the backward classes of citizens. So this is the crux of the Indira Sahni judgment. If you look at the significance of this EWS reservation judgment, or you can call it as a Janhit versus Union of India case 2022, it reshapes the politics of affirmative action. Because EWS quota moves the reservation discussion beyond the Mandal debate, weighed in favor of the caste reservation. Mandal debate or weighed in the favor of the caste reservation. Though caste may be a prominent factor for determination of the backward classes, court has routinely discouraged identification of backwardness solely on the basis of caste. Court has routinely discouraged identification of backwardness on the basis of caste. In Ram Singh and others versus Union of India case 2015, Supreme Court suggested that the need for a non-caste based identification of backwardness. In Ram Singh others versus Union of India case 2015, it held that new practices, methods, and yardsticks have to be continuously evolved to enable recognition of newly emerging groups in the society. Attempt to elevate the poor among the general category. It is an attempt to elevate the poor among the general category. EWS quota provides economic justice to those who have not been beneficiaries of affirmative actions like reservations. Proponents have argued that it is in line with the transformative goals of the Constitution. It is in line with the transformative goals of the Constitution. Further, economic criteria may be perceived as a first step in the process of moving away with the caste-based reservation. It can be used as a first step because of by reading caste alongside class, it reconfigures India's affirmative action policy. That is reading caste alongside class by offering an expansive view. Concerns related to the EWS quota. Reservations is meant for social upliftment. Reservations as a traditional concept is not for financial empowerment. It is for social empowerment. It is not for financial empowerment but for social empowerment, and cannot be used as a poverty alleviation measure. Poverty can be alleviated by other means like scholarships. A collective remedy means to be compensatory discrimination. A collective remedy meant to be compensatory discrimination in favor of historically deprived classes cannot be converted into a scheme based on economic criteria. While the economic quota is justified for accessing public goods, including the subsidies under Article 15, it cannot be extended to the reservation under Article 16, which seeks representation of a community. Additionally, unlike caste discrimination, poverty does not necessarily get carried from one generation to other. Unlike the caste discrimination, poverty does not generally carried from one generation to other. So there is a difference between the caste discrimination and the poverty. It violates the principle of equality. By excluding the OBCs, SC, ST communities from the EWS, this is clear violation of equality. It is a clear violation of equality in their eligibility to avail a part of the open competition opportunities. So minority view in the recent judgment held that such exclusion is arbitrary and discriminatory. That is exclusion of SC, STs and communities from EWS. It virtually confines SC, ST or OBC within their allocated reservation. Quotas. Issue with the income criteria. The income criteria that laid tag per year has already been questioned as it is liable to result in excessive coverage of socially advanced classes. It is to be noted that exemption from filing IT returns are only provided to those who with taxable income below 2.5 lakh. That is, exemption from filing IT returns are only provided to those who with the taxable income below the 2.5 lakh. Further, annual income cutoff is much higher than the national level annual per capita income, thus excluding a large section of the population. That is, this annual income cutoff is much higher than the national level annual per capita income. Also, paucity of the data on direct income and possibility of malicious income declarations can create additional hindrances in effective implementation. that is paucity of the data on direct income and possibility of malicious income declarations can create additional hindrances in effective implementation. Tool of populism. Critics have also pointed to the political nature of the EWS quota. The move is politically fraught with the potential to aggravate the social tensions. Minority View in the recent judgment highlighted that the permitting the breach of 50% ceiling limit would become a gateway for further infractions and result in compartmentalization. C. Guidelines to identify the intended beneficiaries. A more detailed data and guidelines for identifying the most genuine target groups is crucial to ensure that the extremely needy individuals get a better benefit of this policy. Also, government should consider both opening up the EWS quotas to all the communities and keeping income criteria much lower than the ceiling limit. Can be at the same level as income tax slab. Continuous evolution. The conceptual framework to capture the backwardness needs to be continuously evolved to ensure that the affirmative actions are more inclusive. The affirmative actions are much more to ensure that the affirmative actions to make them much more inclusive. To make those affirmative actions more inclusive. See, when more jobs are being created in the private sector, policies that focus on expanding employment would work better for EWS. That is, see, when more jobs are being created in the private sector, policies that focus on expanding the employment would work better for EWS. Government also needs to work on improving the quality of educational institutions in general, which will limit the demand for reservations to get into chosen few. So this is about the EWS quota. When coming to next issue is Uniform Civil Code. Recently, a private member bill titled Uniform Civil Code Bill in India 2020 was introduced in Rajya Sabha. A private member bill Uniform Civil Code Bill 2020 was introduced in the Rajya Sabha. The bill seeks to provide for a panel to prepare a UCC Uniform Civil Code to be implemented across the country. UCC refers to same set of civil laws applicable to all the citizens of India in their personal matters such as marriage, divorce, custody, adoption, and inheritance. Marriage, divorce, custody, adoption, and inheritance. The provisions of the Uniform Civil Code are under the Article 44, Directive Principles of the State Policy of the Constitution. It says that the state shall endeavour to ensure a uniform civil code for the citizens throughout the territory of the India. Thus, Uniform Civil Code comes under the non-justiciable part of the Constitution. All the personal laws comes under the concurrent list. The personal laws comes under the concurrent list. Both center and state has a permission to do to make laws under on the subject of personal laws. If you look at the current status of the personal laws in India, different religious communities are currently governed by a system of personal laws which have been codified over the years through various pieces of legislation. For example, Hindu personal law is codified in 4 bills: Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act, Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act. System of Hindu personal laws are there, like 4 bills, namely Hindu Marriage Act. Hindu personal law is codified in 4 bills: Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Succession Act, Hindu Adoption and Guardianship Act, Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act, Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act. The term Hindu also includes Sikhs, Jains, Buddhist. Hindu also includes Sikhs, Jains and Buddhist for the purpose of these laws. Sikhs, Jains and Buddhist for the purpose of these laws. Certain aspects of Muslim personal laws are expressly recognized in India in acts such as Shariat Application Act and Dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act. Shariat Application Act and Dissolution of the Muslim Marriage Act. Christian marriages and divorces are governed in India by Indian Christian Marriages Act and Indian Divorce Act. While Zoroastrians are subjected to Parsi Marriage and Divorce Act. So these are some secular laws. There are some secular laws as well. For example, Special Marriage Act, under which interreligious marriages can take place on the Guardians and Wards Act, which establishes the rights and duties of the guardians. Goa at present is the only state in India with a UCC. The Portuguese Civil Code of 1867, which continues to be implemented after India annexed to the territory in 1961, applies to all the Goans. irrespective of their religious or ethnic community. However, the Portuguese code is not completely a Portuguese code is not completely a UCC. It makes certain provisions on the religious basis. For example, Hindu men are allowed bigamy if wife fails to deliver a child by the age of 25, or a male child, by the age of 25, a male child by the age of 30. Oh, what is it? See, if certain provisions on the religious basis also it is going. Suppose for an Hindu men are allowed bigamy if wife fails to deliver a child by the age of 25, or a male child by the age of 30. Why the need of this UCC? Gender equality. Personal laws, because of their derive from the tradition and customs, also tend to give a undue advantage to the men. Law Commission in 2018 observes that the various aspects of the prevailing personal laws disprivilege the women. For instance, Muslim men being allowed to marry the multiple wives, but women being forbidden. Muslim men being allowed to marry the multiple wives, but women being forbidden from having the multiple husbands. Despite 2005 amendment to the Hindu Succession Act, women are still considered part of their husband's family after the marriage. So in case a Hindu widow dies without any heirs or will, her property will automatically go to her husband's family. Men's fathers are also treated as natural guardians and are given preference under the Hindu Minority and Guardianship Act. See, once again I'll tell this. See, Law Commission 2018 told that there are Law Commission observed various aspects in the personal laws that disprivilege the women. For instance, Muslim men being allowed to marry the multiple wives, but women being forbidden from having the multiple husbands. Despite the 2005 amendment to the Hindu Succession Act, the women are still considered the part of their husband's family after the marriage. So, in case a Hindu widow dies without any her heirs or will, her property will automatically go to her husband's family. Men or fathers are also treated as a natural guardians. Men are treated as natural guardians and given preference under the Hindu Minority and the Guardianship Act. To address the inconsistency in these personal laws, there is no consistency. There is no consistency in how issues like marriage, succession, etc. are treated for the people belonging to different communities. Reforms to personal laws have also been inconsistent. For example, multiple amendments have been brought to the Hindu personal laws, while Muslim law has seen a fewer changes. Secular republic aspires for a common law for all the citizens rather than the differentiated rules based on the religious practices. Simplification of these laws is needed. When enacted, the code will simplify the complex laws around the marriage ceremonies, inheritance, succession, adoptions, making them one for all. The same civil law will be then applicable to all the citizens irrespective of their faith. It will also reduce the burden on the judiciary due to the standardization of the personal laws and enable the speedy delivery of the justice. Protection to the vulnerable sections of the society. The UCC claims to provide protection to the vulnerable sections as envisaged by the protection to the vulnerable sections of the society. The UCC aims to provide the protection to the vulnerable sections as envisaged by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, including the women and the religious minorities. Many practices governed by the religious traditions are at odds with the fundamental rights guaranteed in the Constitution. That is, many practices governed by the religious traditions are at odds with the fundamental rights guaranteed in the Constitution. So there are also some arguments against the UCC. See, diversity within secular civil laws. While India does have a uniformity in the most criminal and civil matters like Criminal Procedure Code and Civil Procedure Code, states have made several amendments to their civil laws. For example, law of anticipatory bail differs from one state to another. Experts cite plurality in already codified civil and criminal laws while arguing against UCC. Looking at the codified personal laws of the various communities in India, all Hindus are not governed by a homogeneous personal law even after the enactment of the 4 acts. Communal politics. Large sections of the society see it as a majoritarianism reform. Large communal politics. In several verdicts like S.R. Bommai, Supreme Court has warned against mixing politics with religion. Supreme Court has worried whether a secular state should bring a code which can be perceived as a threat to the personal laws based on the religious belief. whether a secular state should bring a code which can be perceived as a threat to the personal laws based on the religious belief against the diversity. A unified nation does not necessarily need to have a uniformity. Efforts have to be made to reconcile our diversity with universal and indisputable arguments on human rights. Efforts have to be made to reconcile our diversity with universal and indisputable arguments on human rights. The term secularism has a meaning only if it is assured the expression of any form of difference. Thus, the diversity, both the religious and regional, should not be subsumed under the louder voice of majority, can erode minorities' rights. Though UCC reinforces equality before the law, it also clashes with the right to freedom of religion. Though UCC reinforces the equality before the law, though the UCC reinforces the equality before the law, it also clashes with the right to freedom of religion, or Article 25. So UCC could become a tool. UCC could become a tool to erode this right, suppresses minorities, and homogenize the culture. Not supported by the Law Commission. 2018 Law Commission in a consultation paper held that UCC is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. UCC is neither necessary nor desirable at this stage. Collaborative approach is needed. There is a need to build a consensus among all the stakeholders and educating the individuals regarding the true nature and positive effects of the UCC. Brick by brick collaborative approach is needed, and also brick by brick approach rather than an omnibus approach. The government could bring separate aspects such as marriage, adoption, succession, and maintenance into a UCC in stages. The goal of UCC should ideally be reached in a piecemeal manner, like recent amendment on the age of marriage. A just code is far more important than the uniform code. A just code is far more important than the uniform code. Law Commission recommendations. In the absence of consensus on UCC, Commission felt that the best way forward may be to preserve the diversity of the personal laws. In the absence of consensus on UCC, Law Commission recommendations. In the absence of consensus on the UCC, the Commission felt that the best way forward may be to preserve the diversity of the personal laws, ensuring that they do not contradict fundamental rights. In order to achieve this, they do not contradict the fundamental rights. In order to achieve this, it is desirable that all the personal laws relating to the matter of family must be codified to a great extent possible. It will limit the ambiguity in interpretation and application of these personal laws. The Commission has suggested a range of amendments to existing family law to address the various inequalities. Legislators should first consider guaranteeing the equality within the communities between men and women rather than equality between the communities. This way, meaningful differences within the personal laws can be preserved and inequality can be weeded out without absolute uniformity.